Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. I'm Chris McGee, Robert Ory, James Worthy, Mike Bresnan. Allie's going to join us in a little bit. Mike Trudell's handling the post-game duties downtown at Staples. I'm a mess over here. I got so many notes. Lakers lose to Sacramento. Yeah, like 5 different things.
3 OTs.
Yeah, Lakers lose to the Sacramento Kings, who are down 2 starters.
Yeah.
And are one of the, bottom teams in the Western Conference in 3 overtimes. Lost a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter. Got outscored 25-7 in a big stretch there in the fourth. Lost a 7-point lead in overtime with about 1:45 left. Gave up 16 offensive rebounds for 23 points. Sacramento bench scored 71 points.
Wow.
Rob, this was a bad loss. Where would you like to start?
Well, this game boils down to execution. And there was a lot of execution that was very questionable. And when you have games like this, you have to execute, because we always talk about teams coming in here and saying, okay, the Lakers are our championship game. Lakers are the team that we always want to beat, especially Sacramento. They always want to beat the Lakers. And so when you don't come out and take care of the basketball, when you don't come out and execute like you should, there's a lot of questionable plays, there's a lot of questionable turnovers, but you still have to look at overall. You can't take anything away from the Kings because they kicked butt in the second half. Lakers took a back seat and they started, easing up and only doing one play. But I think the biggest key for me is when you have a player as hot as Malik Monk was, he didn't touch the ball not one time in overtime. He shot it once after the first 2 overtimes. 10 minutes without touching the ball. As a player and as a coach.
Least, yes. Because he didn't touch it.
He didn't touch it the first 2 overtimes.
Yeah.
You have to figure out who's hot on the court and go to him. So that's the only thing that I want to harp on, is that right there. Because for me, as a player, we always going to go to the hot man. And I think as a team, you need to recognize stuff like that also.
Big game?
I just want to go home, man. Because it's just really not a lot to talk about. They were 15 for 44 from behind the arc from 3. AD was 0 for 5. LeBron was 2 of 13. And that's all they shot going down the stretch was threes, whereas Monk was 4 of 7 for 3. We don't involve enough people. LeBron is great, and I love to see the ball in his hand. But if that's all we're going to do is stand around and shoot threes, he's a good 3-point shooter. We got to do more than that. That's not team basketball. What we witnessed, those last 3 overtimes, that is not team basketball. That is, we're going to take our elite players, hope we hit some threes, forget about Monk, forget about other guys who can create. Where's your playbook? This can't be it down the stretch, because this is not a winning formula, okay? If you're just going to shoot threes and try to win games that way, when you have proven that you have plays that you can execute down the stretch. Standing around and just no movement is easy to defend, very easy, unless you got a really hot player like Sacramento did with Fox.
Yep.
And he didn't hit only threes, he navigated a little bit. So they got to do some soul searching now. I still think there are ways out, but my God, coming home, losing to the Sacramento team without 2 starters, the team is not playing that great. Forget about Thanksgiving, that's no excuse. We all are full of turkey. But, man, they were full of something else tonight, Brez. I don't know what.
Yeah, James, let's not forget this Sacramento team, new coach.
Bad.
I just let our friend Luke Walton go about 5 days ago. I'm also kind of perplexed by this. I feel like we keep saying the Lakers have found a new low. OKC game number 1, and then they lost again to OKC. And maybe this is the new low of the season, going 3 overtimes against a team without 2 starters. And then the other guy, Mo Harkless, he comes in to start for one of the guys that's missing. He gets hurt. So this team is really down to threads. But they still had De'Aaron Fox. Buddy Hield got pretty hot. Another big picture problem for this team, guys. This is their 7th overtime period that they've played. That's 35 extra minutes. LeBron played 50 tonight, played 43 in overtime against Indiana the other night. This is the oldest team in the league. and they just keep logging minutes. The minutes are piling up, and it's so early in the season, guys. You know, it's none of this is good big picture. That's for sure.
When you watch this team through 21 games, and this was their 5th overtime game, Indiana, San Antonio, Charlotte, Miami, Sacramento, and other games, the one thing that keeps popping out at me, I don't know if it's the lack of sense of urgency or mindset to close teams out and knock teams out, but we were kind of laughing when we were all watching the game in the beginning, saying, can we get a blowout this year? Just an easy one? Or is every single game going to be an absolute battle against the bottom feeders of the league? And that's, I think, what's also really frustrating, Rob, like leading by 13. You just saw that graphic right there of how the overtimes went. You know, leading by 7, 110, 103. Okay, put your foot down, game over.
It's over.
Yeah.
Right? But it's almost like they let their foot off the gas, and then they're surprised that these are professional basketball players. Teams come back. They fight. They're young.
You know, you look at this, and I watch the game, and as soon as they get a lead, they start smiling and having all these antics and not realizing that other team is watching you. And that's kind of fueling their fire. And for me, I know that's what this game has turned into. Everybody wants to throw antics up. When they make a 3, they so happy they finally make a shot and all this kind of stuff. But to me, you laughing and you smiling, that right there to me is not being professional. If you want to be a championship team, you got to come out with just the grit and the grind, no smiling, and just beat someone down. And you said it, they've only won one game this year by 10 points.
Houston.
That was Houston game.
And Houston is the worst team in the NBA.
2 games.
And you only beat them by 10 points. And you like you said, there has to be some type of sense of urgency. You got to want to beat someone. You don't want to win a game. You want to beat someone down. And I don't like bringing up the past, but when we were Shaq and Kobe, we wanted to beat you down and let you know that you was going to be in a fight, and we didn't fear you. You was going to fear us, and you was going to go home or be ready to go to the club that night because you weren't going to get a win up in here. And I don't think the Lakers right now understand that they don't understand that they got to beat people. They got to put the fear in people because right now we say it all the time, nobody fears the Lakers.
Well said.
Yeah, there was a time when, when you got that beat down one time, you knew for the rest of the season when you saw the Lakers, it was going to be a beatdown. That no longer exists. And, we have a lot of veterans on this team. We talked about that, how that experience would help and how they would gel. But right now, I don't think they can coach themselves through this. I think Coach Vogel's got to take hold of this out of timeouts. They haven't proven to us that they're experienced enough as veterans to take care of games. So I think he's got to take control of this, call plays, make sure that they're getting good shots, make sure that they're versatile and not so one-dimensional and predictable, because that's all I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
I don't think they can get themselves out of this as players because they've had enough opportunities. I mean, they got leadership, they got some kind of virus going on. If they don't get hold of it, every team that comes into Staples Center, forget about on the road. If they don't get hold of this, every team that comes into Staples Center is going to have a lot of confidence thinking that in 4 quarters that they'll be able to beat this team.
Yeah, lack of ball movement and everyone standing around late games is
Standing
a
and no
huge
ball movement.
issue
That's not basketball.
for this team. Brez, on the other side, you have a team that's struggling. De'Aaron Fox not having a great season. Steps up tonight, minus Harrison Barnes and Holmes.
Yep.
He has 34. Buddy Hield has 25. I mean, Buddy Hield at one point, Buddy was just 3 for 13 from 3, but those 3 were big that he did hit. They were usually off of second chance opportunities, off of offensive rebounds, which hurts Brez, but they got
Guys are out for them tonight. They have an interim coach. They still did what they had to do. De'Aaron Fox, borderline all-star last season. He was one of those snubs that everybody was talking about after the reserves were announced. Like you said, not off to a great start this season. He was great tonight. Buddy Hield, potential 6th man of the year guy, starting to really take to his role coming off the bench. He did not like it last season. He's starting to understand what he can do. Like you said, Geet, I think it was 1 for 9 in the first half. He was good in the overtime zone, hitting threes, crazy step back, off balance stuff, some big free throws down the stretch. And that play right there, the inbounds, the Lakers just lost track of him. He got free, had a little layup, went to the free throw line. That's the shot that forced the was it this third OT, the second OT? They're all kind of blending together. But these guys, they still had two guys. It was the big two for Sacramento. They were bigger than the Lakers' big three.